Hello and welcome to Boatrek Live. I'm here again to discuss the Star Trek short trek, Children of Mars. Now first off, I'm using OBS Studio, so I'm going to see if I'm actually streaming. And nothing is showing up yet. So I never know if I'm really streaming or not, but usually I am. I might have to reset this if I'm not and figure this out. Oh, I am live. Yay, say I'm live. That took a while, like my internet froze up there for a second, so I am live. Yay, and somebody's watching. Oh wow, it's amazing. Continuum Trek. He says you're streaming. I can hear you. Hey, how's it going, bud? Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the Children of Mars. But before I do, there was a TV spot for Picard. It was very exciting, and they showed Data. Now, first off, I just want to show Data what he looked like in the original trailers. So here's what he looked like, and a lot of people complained that it didn't look very good. Looked kind of cheesy, kind of tacky. And this is what he looks like now, apparently. I'm assuming this is either Data or B4, whichever. Now he looks more like what he's supposed to look like in, say, Nemesis. And of course, I believe that Data ages on the outside. Maybe he can choose to do that. But yeah, Data clearly ages throughout the show. And, you know, the actor's like 70 years old now. So now they've de-aged him to look like he was like 50 again. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I want to talk about the prelude to Picard, and it's called Children of Mars. And it's about two girls going to school. Both their guardians work on the Utopia Planitia shipyards above Mars. And it's first contact day, and the two girls are at each other, bullying the whole time, and it's set to the music of Heroes by Peter Gabriel, and most of it's just a meaningless, shallow music video. I felt nothing. I don't quite like the design of the production design behind the whole short. For one thing, when you see the shipyards, you see Discovery era ships, you see Discovery era worker bees. You know, this is going through a storyboard process. This has to be approved. This is just lazy. Is it an unused VFX shot from Discovery or one of the other shorts, maybe? I don't know. Continuum Trek says, I'm good. How are you? I'm great. Except for I'm a little bit worried about Picard. But, you know, I watched the full trailer again earlier, which I avoided for a while, and it does look better than Discovery. It looks like the cinematography is better. There's not a hell of a lot of lens flare. And then you have this short, which is the prelude to Picard, and it has that Discovery look in the VFX where there's way too much haze and lens flare, and I don't get this thing where like shuttles have to fly past the camera and the camera shakes, and they have to put specks of dirt on the camera to make it ultra realistic. It's overproduced visual effects as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't look real. I mean, you can tell they put a lot of effort into it, but it's just so layered that I find a lot of the visual effects in Discovery and these shorts sometimes look very crystal clear and easy to look at, and especially the last episode of season 2 of Discovery. But then you have these other moments where everything's fuzzy and hazy and it doesn't look right. Uh, and another thing about the practicality of now they're in the late 24th. It's presumably this short takes place in 2385 or 6, and they have these holographic screens that are transparent. I don't understand this thing in sci-fi. This looking at things on transparent holographic screens, it's so impractical. It looks awful, and you can't see the image properly. And it's like that the image of Picard when he's up on the screen. It's just this still image of Picard with a grimace on his face, and it means nothing, and it just looks so phony, and there's no believability to anything. And even the sets, the school sets, everything looks modern. Nothing looks futuristic. It just looks like modern buildings with LED lights placed here and there. And I give them credit for choosing nice looking buildings to shoot in, but even in the trailers for Picard, that building, Starfleet headquarters, it looks very old fashioned for its time. I mean, you can see the ceiling, the old fashioned like ceiling vents. When he's going down the escalator, outside the window you see Discovery era shuttlecraft. So I don't quite know if they're going to show like an Odyssey class ship. I don't know if they're going to show the Enterprise. Not that this short, I don't think the short is going to be reflective of the quality of Picard, but guaranteed we're going to see some Discovery shit in there, and it's going to piss people off, and people are going to nitpick it. I watched Trek Yard's analysis of the Children of Mars, and they just, especially Walter, I think his name is Walter, the British guy. I've never heard him swear so much in a live stream before. So Continuum Trek says, I think Picard is going to be TNG era greatest hits. I'm not worried about Picard. Yeah, I don't think we should be worried. I think people should be prepared that they're going to carry over a lot of production design from Discovery, and maybe in some parts it's going to feel like it's 140 or whatever years hasn't passed. But I looked at the trailer again, like there's on a CTV Sci-Fi website, there's like a really long trailer, and it's in really high quality, better than what is on YouTube. For some reason in Canada, when CTV Sci-Fi, or what it used to be Space, uploads a trailer for Picard or Discovery, it's very poor quality. I'm not sure why, but anyway, so you go on their website, and I was like, oh, this is the first time I'm actually seeing the trailer in full HD, and man, it looks fantastic. People are worried about, like, is Picard or Patrick Stewart's politics will be inserted in there, like his concern over Brexit. He says what's going on in the show is his response to Brexit, and I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, as long as the story makes sense. I mean, you can have parallels with real world stuff. I know people are sick of hearing about Trump, and in that Variety article, Trump is mentioned. It's like, okay, a lot of people really don't want those politics inserted into Trek unless it's dealt with in a clever way, I guess. It's kind of like the hysteria around Star Trek Discovery Season 1, when at some point, I don't know who said it, I don't know if it was Kurtzman or some kind of article came out where we're talking about the Klingons were basically Trump supporters, and they were xenophobic and I can't say it. Isolationist. There you go. I can speak. But apparently in Picard, that's what Starfleet is now. They're a little more reserved. They're not as exploratory. Perhaps they're now very xenophobic because there's so much chaos in the galaxy or something like that. It is not like TNG, and it won't be like TNG, because it is years later and things have changed. maybe during the TNG era, the 2360s or whatever, everything was copacetic and it was mainly about exploration. Then you get into Deep Space Nine and we find out, hey, the world of Star Trek isn't perfect. There's going to be a lot of death and there's going to be war, and it's going to be unavoidable as the galaxy expands. But like, as for these short treks, I mean, they had 4 last time and now they have 6. Why not do 3 or 4 and put a little more effort and budget and more runtime? I think they should be around 22 minutes so that when they run on TV, they can run the full half hour with commercials. Because I find like the 7-minute format it doesn't work a lot of times, and short films are very hard to make because you have to have a beginning, middle, and an end, and you have to do it quickly. And particularly with Children of Mars, it goes by way too quick. It's very hard to absorb the first time you watch it. I think it's one of the short treks that I like the least, that I had to watch the most because so much is happening, or you know what I mean? Yeah, so didn't like that short trek. Didn't feel anything. I understand it has a very 9/11 vibe. I felt that was cheap. It's just my opinion. I mean, if you liked it, that's great. I mean, a lot of people did, but some people were really pissed off about it not looking like the 24th century or the late 24th century. It looks more like Discovery era, and that could be a budgetary thing, but of course in Picard there's going to be a mix of, like, there's an old Romulan ship and there's going to be new ships, and they haven't revealed any kind of like Odyssey class, what we saw in the Picard Countdown comic. That's got to be in there somewhere. We've got to see Starfleet at some point, but of course I'm pretty sure the focus is not going to be about Starfleet. It's going to be Picard going on his rogue mission, assembling a team to figure out what the synths are. What are the synths? Are they rogue androids? We know from the trailer that there's a facility full of androids, one of which has F8 on his forehead, Fate. And I speculated that maybe Data's consciousness might eventually be put into one of these androids, and that's how he continues on through another actor. But it could be that after this rogue synth attack, that they were all hunted down, deactivated, and put in this facility, and Picard is going back there for some reason. Perhaps because Daj herself is a synthetic, or probably the most advanced synthetic there is, and that's why the bad guys, whoever they are trying to get her. I do have a theory about who the secret villain of Picard Season 1 may be, and that's far out there, but if you want to hear it, this could be a major spoiler. I think knowing about the synth threat and how that may tie into the Romulans and the Borg, and maybe the leader of the synths may have been, or maybe again, Lore. Maybe somebody reactivates Lore and he's like the leader of the synths. And since he was the leader of the independent Borg at some point, that's how Hugh ties in and Seven of Nine tie in. So it was like a Romulan, Borg, android trifecta of drama and intrigue. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see where it goes. Less than 2 weeks away. I can't wait. Continuum Trek says, don't forget the Dominion War took a heavy toll on the Federation, but I think the show will cover everything from A Measure of a Man to Best of Both Worlds to Unification. Yeah, got to get on that watch list. I got to watch, I have Next Generation on Blu-ray seasons 1 and 2, and I want to watch the extended version of Measure of a Man again, and Best of Both Worlds, a few other ones, Unification, I forget the name of Tasha Yar's Romulan character. Selena? I don't know. Hold on, I gotta look this up. Denise Crosby Romulan. Sela. And people are theorizing that Sela might be in the show too. There could be a lot of surprises. I'm going to tell you, they don't show much in those trailers beyond, I think, the first or second episode. I think there are a lot of things a lot of surprises around the corner. My God, if we see Worf, that'll be excellent. That would be totally awesome. Yeah, Sela. Wouldn't it be great to see Denise Crosby? I mean, they would probably have to de-age her a bit. That's like the thing with Leonard Nimoy playing Spock. He aged just as his human counterparts did. Then all of a sudden, between the movies and when he shows up in Next Generation, he stopped aging. It's nowadays you can do that. You can have, perhaps you can even have Tim Russ come back at some point. Probably not going to happen. And de-age him a bit to show that he's not aged as fast as a human. So anyway, that'll do it for me tonight. I want to thank Continuum Trek for chatting with me during this live chat, and I hope to do more of these in the future. I will be reviewing Picard. That's a guarantee. Unless something very bad happens to me, knock on wood, I will be reviewing it. And it's going to be exciting to see. January, February, March are going to be fantastic. And we're also probably very soon going to get another trailer for Star Trek Discovery, and probably the first trailer for Lower Decks in a month or so, maybe. And it wouldn't surprise me if they announced that Season 3 of Discovery is going to debut not long after Picard ends. And people are theorizing that there may be a connection between Picard and Season 3 of Discovery. Please no, just keep them separate, please. I'm fascinated what they might do with Season 3 of Discovery, but let's focus on Picard right now. Post-Nemesis TV era Star Trek. It's fantastic. It's a dream come true, really. When I first heard about it, it was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I never thought it would happen, but it did. And until next time, folks, live long and prosper.